March 12, 1942. 02:17 hours. North Atlantic, 300 miles east of Cape Hatteras. The sea is calm, unnaturally calm, its surface stretched flat like black glass under a moonless sky. From the conning tower of a German U-boat, the Atlantic does not look like an enemy, it looks like opportunity. Kapitän-Leutnant Otto Kretschmer lowers his binoculars slowly, his breath fogging the lenses despite the cold. Ahead, silhouetted against the faint glow of a distant coastline, runs a single merchant ship. No zigzag, no escort, no blackout. Its decklights burn like a careless invitation. For a moment, Kretschmer thinks the British must have lost their minds. He signals quietly. The U-boat slips beneath the surface, electric motors humming softly as the steel hull descends into the dark. Inside, the air thickens instantly, diesel fumes, sweat, oil and unwashed bodies compressed into a steel tube barely wider than a city bus. Men move with practiced economy. Torpedo men unlock the warheads. The attack plotter whispers range and bearing. The captain counts in his head. At 02:23, Kretschmer gives the order. The torpedo leaves the tube with a muted thump, its wake invisible in the black water. 30 seconds pass, 40. Then, a dull orange flash erupts on the horizon. The ship breaks open amidships, fire racing along its deck like spilled gasoline. A second explosion follows, deeper, final. The bow lifts briefly, grotesquely, before sliding under. Another American ship gone. Inside the U-boat there is no cheering, just silent nods. Another tally mark, another confirmation that the Atlantic in 1942 belongs to the hunters. And yet, this night, like every night now, something does not feel right. Because for every ship Kretschmer sinks, another one appears. And another. And another. By early 1942, German U-boat commanders are living what should have been the Kriegsmarine's triumph. The United States has entered the war unprepared. Its coastline is illuminated like a festival. Merchant captains steam alone, predictable, defenseless. U-boats prowl within sight of American beaches, torpedoing tankers so close to shore that burning oil washes up on sand dunes. It is everything Admiral Karl Donitz had hoped for, and more. The Germans call it Operation Paukenschlag, drumbeat. To the men in steel hulls beneath the waves, it feels like open season. In January alone, U-boats sink over 60 Allied ships in American waters. February is worse. March is catastrophic. Tankers explode in sheets of flame. Cargo ships vanish without warning. Lifeboats drift for days. Insurance rates skyrocket. Newspapers report losses in columns of black ink. From the perspective of the U-boat arm, the math seems brutally simple. Sink ships faster than the enemy can build them, and the war is won. This belief is not naive, it is rooted in experience. Otto Kretschmer is not a gambler. He is the most successful U-boat ace in history, a veteran of the early Atlantic battles, a commander who perfected the art of the night surface. By 1942, men like Kretschmer believe they understand the ocean as a system: routes, tonnage, choke points, attrition curves. Shipping, they believe, is a finite resource. Britain nearly collapsed under submarine pressure once before, in 1917. The United States, they assume, will crack even faster. Because America, for all its size, is inexperienced, disorganized, soft, or so it seems. What the U-boat captains cannot see, what no periscope can reveal, is what is happening thousands of miles inland, far from the sea, in places that smell not of salt water but of hot steel and fresh paint. While U-boats hunt at night, America is waking something enormous. At shipyards along the East Coast, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Pacific Northwest, floodlights blaze through the darkness. Welders work 12-hour shifts, sparks cascading like artificial suns. The sound is constant: hammers, cranes, rivet guns, whistles. Entire cities vibrate with industrial noise. This is not how ships were built before. Traditional shipbuilding is slow, methodical, artisanal, a skilled craft passed down through generations. In peacetime, a cargo ship might take a year or more from keel to launch. America has decided that time is a luxury it no longer has. The solution is radical, almost reckless. Standardize everything. The ships being built are ugly, boxy, slow. Their lines offend naval architects, their engines are inefficient, their top speed barely reaches 11 knots. But they can be built fast. They are called Liberty ships. Prefabricated sections arrive by rail. Hull plates are welded, not riveted, a controversial decision that horrifies traditionalists. Crews with minimal experience are trained in weeks, not years. Women enter the yards in numbers never seen before, faces streaked with grease, hair wrapped in scarves. The goal is not elegance, the goal is numbers. One ship every 4 days, then one every 2, then, astonishingly, one every day. By mid-1942, American yards are launching ships faster than German intelligence believes possible, faster than German planners consider plausible, faster than the U-boat arms sinking rate. But at sea, this reality is slow to register. For now, U-boat commanders still see success, they still see flames on the horizon, still hear the crunch of hulls breaking apart, still file reports boasting of tonnage destroyed. Yet something has changed in the pattern. Convoys that should not exist begin to appear. Escort vessels, small, clumsy-looking ships with strange sonar domes, cling to merchant columns. Aircraft patrol farther from shore. Depth charges become more frequent, more accurate. And despite the losses, the sea lanes do not empty. In fact, traffic increases. To men like Kretschmer, this is unsettling. The Atlantic should be thinning, shipping lanes should be starving. Instead, they are crowded. The realization comes slowly, then all at once. The enemy is not reacting the way an enemy should. In U-boat wardrooms, over weak coffee and stale bread, commanders compare notes. Sinkings are still high, but so are sightings. Every patrol report mentions new hulls, new flags, fresh paint, ships that look hastily assembled but solid enough to float, and float they do. American ships are not just replacing losses, they are overwhelming them. For the first time, the idea begins to surface, quietly, dangerously, that this war may not be decided by tactics at sea alone. It may be decided by factories, by cranes and welding torches, by an industrial tempo no submarine can outrun. As Kretschmer's U-boat slips away from the burning wreckage that night, the glow of the fire fades behind him. Ahead lies more ocean, more targets, more opportunity. But somewhere deep beneath the confidence of the hunter, an unwelcome thought begins to form. What if we cannot sink them fast enough? What if the ocean is no longer emptying, but filling? The U-boat war was meant to strangle an enemy. Instead, it may have awakened a giant that measures victory not in ships sunk, but in ships built. The sea does not care about doubts. By late spring of 1942, U-boats are still killing ships at a rate that would have broken any navy in the world. Any navy except one that has turned its entire economy into a weapon. On May 9th, U-boat U-507 torpedoes 6 ships off the coast of Florida in a single day. Oil slicks stretch for miles, flaming debris drifts within sight of beach hotels. American civilians stand on shore at night and watch merchantmen die like burning cities at sea. For German commanders, this should be confirmation, proof that the strategy is working. But the numbers begin to betray them. Every patrol report includes a column labeled "Ships Sighted." That column keeps growing. U-boat captains begin to notice something strange about the targets themselves. These are not British freighters built in the 1920s, patched and worn thin by years of war. These ships look new, their hulls are clean, their superstructures are crude but intact, the paint is fresh enough to smell. Some even have construction markings still visible near the bow. One commander writes in his log that it feels like attacking a shipyard. The German Naval Command in Paris and Berlin struggles to reconcile the data. Sinkings remain high, over 600 Allied ships lost in the first half of 1942 alone. Yet convoy capacity does not shrink. Oil deliveries to Britain continue. American troop movements increase. Supplies flow eastward in quantities that defy expectation. Admiral Donitz demands explanations. Intelligence officers provide estimates. They are wrong. Badly wrong. What German planners do not fully grasp is the scale of what is happening inside the United States. American shipbuilding is no longer operating like a military program. It is operating like mass production. Henry Kaiser, a construction magnate with no background in naval design, has applied assembly line logic to shipyards. Hull sections are built simultaneously in multiple locations, then welded together like pieces of industrial furniture. A Liberty ship can be assembled in weeks. In November 1942, one will be built in just 4 days and 15 hours. A publicity stunt, yes, but also a warning. The Germans never see that warning. At sea, the shift is more subtle, more lethal. Escort tactics evolve. British ASDIC, early sonar, improves. American destroyer escorts appear in growing numbers, squat ships bristling with depth charge racks and hedgehog launchers. Radar becomes standard. Aircraft patrols extend farther offshore, closing the air gap where U-boats once operated freely. The Atlantic begins to feel smaller. U-boat commanders feel it first in their nerves. Where once they surfaced at night with confidence, now they hesitate. Radar pulses sweep the darkness. Star shells burst overhead. A surfaced U-boat becomes a hunted thing in seconds. Below the surface, the pressure is worse. Depth charges do not just explode, they crush. The concussive force travels through water and steel, snapping light bulbs, bending pipes, driving shards of metal into flesh. Men bleed from the ears, gauges shatter, bolts shear loose, the hull creaks like a living thing under strain. Survival becomes a matter of luck. And still, despite the danger, the boats keep coming back to patrol, because the tonnage war demands it. The doctrine has not changed. Donitz insists that victory lies just beyond the next offensive surge. If U-boats can push sinkings above 700,000 tons per month, Allied shipping will collapse. The Americans, he believes, cannot possibly keep up. But by the end of 1942, the arithmetic turns merciless. That year alone, the United States launches over 2,700 merchant ships. Liberty ships are followed by Victory ships, faster, stronger, better armed. Their engines push them past 15 knots, just enough to complicate U-boat attack calculations. They are still not beautiful, but they are relentless. German crews begin encountering convoys that seem endless. Columns stretch to the horizon, escorted by layers of protection, surface ships above, aircraft above them, sonar below. Sinking one ship no longer feels like progress. It feels like erasing a single line from a page that keeps rewriting itself. Otto Kretschmer, by now a prisoner of war after his capture in 1941, watches the conflict from captivity with a professional's eye. Other commanders remain at sea longer, under growing strain. New captains arrive with less experience, training standards slip, losses mount. The psychological balance flips. In 1941, Allied sailors feared the unseen enemy below. By late 1942, U-boat crews fear the invisible net tightening around them. Every ping of sonar is a heartbeat. Every propeller noise could be death. And still, the ships come. American ports no longer resemble civilian harbors. They are industrial arteries. Rail lines pour steel, engines, food, ammunition into the yards. Launch ceremonies become routine. No speeches, no champagne. A ship slides into the water, takes on a crew, and sails east within days. Some are sunk on their first voyage. Many are not. The ocean, once imagined as a barrier, has become a conveyor belt. German intelligence finally revises its estimates, but too late. Even conservative numbers now suggest that Allied shipbuilding exceeds U-boat sinkings by a margin that grows every month. This is the realization that breaks the campaign. Not defeat in a single battle, not the loss of a base, but the understanding that no matter how skilled the hunters, the prey has become infinite. By early 1943, the U-boat war enters its most desperate phase. Commanders are ordered to stand their ground against overwhelming escort forces. New technologies are promised, improved torpedoes, snorkels, better radios, but they arrive slowly, if at all. Meanwhile, American production accelerates again. The war at sea is no longer about stealth versus vigilance. It is about capacity, steel versus steel, time versus time. And the submarines, designed to choke the enemy's lifeline, now face a brutal truth. They are fighting a nation that does not measure loss the same way. A nation that replaces ships the way others replace ammunition. A nation that does not slow down when hit, but speeds up. As another convoy steams east under gray skies, its decks crowded with crates and fuel drums, the water around it churns with escort screws. Somewhere below, a U-boat listens, counting propellers, calculating angles. The captain knows what his predecessors once believed, and he knows now what they were wrong about. By the spring of 1943, the Atlantic has changed character. It no longer feels like an open hunting ground. It feels like a corridor, narrow, watched, hostile. U-boat commanders sense it the moment they leave port. Allied air patrols reach farther out into the Bay of Biscay. Radar-equipped aircraft appear suddenly through cloud cover, forcing boats to crash dive before crews can even man deck guns. Mines lurk in approaches that were once safe. The journey to the patrol area has become as dangerous as the patrol itself. Inside the boats, morale tightens into something brittle. Crews are younger now. Many veterans are gone, killed, captured, or reassigned to training commands that no longer have time to train properly. The boats themselves are pushed harder, kept at sea longer, repaired faster and worse. And still, the orders remain the same. Attack the convoys, hold the line, win the tonnage war. But the tonnage war is already lost, its outcome decided not on the ocean, but in the mathematics of production schedules and steel allotments. By May 1943, the Allies are launching merchant ships at a rate that dwarfs even their own optimistic projections. Liberty ships continue to pour out of American yards, but now they are only part of the picture. Victory ships take over the most dangerous routes. Tankers multiply. Specialized cargo vessels appear, refrigerated ships, ammunition carriers, troop transports designed for speed and volume. Each convoy is not just larger, it is smarter. Escort coordination has matured into a system. Surface ships, aircraft, and intelligence units operate as one organism. High-frequency direction finding, HFDF, HFDF, pinpoints U-boat transmissions. Enigma decrypts filtered through Allied intelligence, reveal patrol zones before boats even arrive. The hunter has become predictable. When U-boats attack now, the response is immediate and overwhelming. Destroyers turn in unison. Sonar locks on. Hedgehog projectiles arc into the sea, detonating only on contact. No warning, no mercy. A successful hit is not an explosion heard above water, but a deep, final thud that crews feel through the soles of their boots. Some boats vanish without ever reporting contact. Others are hunted for hours, even days, until batteries fail and air runs out. Captains make impossible decisions, surface and fight or stay down and suffocate. Survival becomes exceptional, not expected. In May alone, Germany loses over 40 U-boats. The casualty rate is unsustainable. And yet, even now, the ocean is full of ships. American convoys steam through waters once dominated by the Black Cross of the Kriegsmarine. The numbers are obscene. In 1943, Allied shipbuilding exceeds losses by millions of tons. For every U-boat that slips into the depths, dozens of new hulls slide into the water back home. The realization finally becomes explicit. German naval staff officers stop talking about victory conditions. They talk about damage limitation, about delaying the inevitable, about preserving what remains of the U-boat arm for some future technology that might change the balance. But the balance is already gone. For the men who believed in the purity of the submarine war, the idea that a handful of determined crews could bring an empire to its knees, the truth is devastating. Skill cannot outrun arithmetic. Courage cannot sink a factory. A torpedo, no matter how perfectly fired, cannot compete with a welding torch operating day and night. By late 1943, the Atlantic supply lines are no longer in question. Britain is secure. American troops cross in increasing numbers. Tanks, aircraft, food, fuel, all flow eastward in quantities that would have been unimaginable 2 years earlier. The invasion of Europe is no longer a gamble. It is a logistical certainty. And at the heart of that certainty is the simple fact that German U-boat captains once found impossible to accept. The ships never stopped coming. They came faster than they could be sunk. They came newer than the last ones lost. They came crewed by civilians turned sailors, protected by systems that learned and adapted, backed by an economy that treated loss as a signal to build more, not less. The U-boat campaign was never defeated in a single moment. It was outproduced. Long after the war, surviving commanders would reflect on this with a kind of grim clarity. They had believed the sea was decisive, that tonnage sunk equaled victory, that the enemy's will would break once enough ships burned. What they encountered instead was a nation that translated shock into output, fear into organization, and destruction into momentum. In the end, the Atlantic did not become empty, it became crowded. Crowded with convoys, crowded with escorts, and crowded with proof that modern war is not only fought by men at the front, but by millions far behind it, shaping steel, scheduling shifts, and counting not losses but replacements. For the U-boat captains who once watched American ships sail carelessly into the dark, disbelief turned into understanding, and understanding turned to defeat.